Today we'll be going over Chapter 3, Encumbrances. So we'll cover encumbrances, liens, terms that affect physical use, and homesteading your residence. So an encumbrance is a right or interest in real property other than ownership or tenancy interest. A blanket encumbrance is a lien placed on more than one parcel that has the same owner. So you see you have different types of liens: trust deeds and mortgages, mechanics liens, judgments and attachments, tax liens and special assessments, and we're going to cover all of those. Okay, so a lien is a document using property to secure payment of the debt or discharge of an obligation. So you can have voluntary or involuntary liens, specific or general. Voluntary liens, an example would be like a mortgage. So you're voluntarily taking a loan out on a property, and that creates a lien. Involuntary lien would be like taxes. If you have property tax on a property, that's an involuntary lien because you did not decide to put it there. It's put there by the government. A specific lien could be a specific lien for a property, or general lien. General liens are placed on people or persons and could be for multiple properties. Voluntary lien does not have to be recorded. Now, we discussed recording liens or recording transfers, deeds in the last chapter, and liens are the same. They do not have to be recorded to be valid. However, in real life, they are always recorded. Involuntary liens are money obligations created on a property by government taxes or legal action because of unpaid bills. So again, an involuntary lien could be a mechanics lien. So you have work done on your property, but you didn't pay the contractor. They're able to file a lien, a mechanics lien, so that they can secure their interest in the property. Specific liens, and I hit on that a few minutes ago. Liens against one property, general, or all properties of owner. So again, specific lien is a lien put on a specific property for like a mortgage, or a mechanics lien for work done on one property. General liens are applied to the person. So general liens, an example would be like income tax liens, state tax liens that are applied to the person and not necessarily one specific property. Okay, trust deed is a written instrument which makes real property collateral for a loan. So in California, we call mortgages trust deeds because there's three parties, and we will cover that later in the class. Promissory note is evidence of the debt. So the promissory note is what you sign when you're taking out the loan, saying, I promise to pay the amount back. And trust deeds and mortgages are personal property. They are not real property. Okay, so again, a mortgage is a two-person or a two-party instrument between mortgagor and mortgagee. And in California, we do not have mortgages. We have trust deeds. Mechanics lien, it may be filed against property by a person who was not paid after furnishing labor or materials for construction work on that property. Now, mechanics liens do have to be recorded to be valid, and they take priority over all other liens. So if you're ever having construction work done on your property, it's a good idea to meet with the contractor so you can determine what materials are being delivered to your property and understand who the suppliers are, so you can ensure the suppliers get paid. Because if they're not paid, then the suppliers can take a mechanics lien on your property and you won't be able to refinance or sell that property until those mechanics liens are paid, even if you weren't the one that contacted the supplier for the material. Okay, so in order for a mechanics lien to be valid, they first have to send a preliminary notice to the property. So they send basically a bill warning the homeowner or property owner that a mechanics lien will be filed if the amount isn't paid within 20 days of supplying that labor or services. So a suit may be filed up to 30 days after completion for suppliers and subcontractors, and up to 60 days for general contractors. So there are timelines that they have to abide by in order for their mechanics lien to be valid. Okay, a notice of completion is the occupation or use by owner after cessation of labor. So if you're using, if you build like a pool and you're using the pool, then that's a notice of completion. Acceptance of work by the owner or cessation of labor for 60 continuous days. So if they start a project and they stop working on that project for 60 days, then it's considered complete, even if the project isn't complete. And cessation of labor for 30 continuous days if owner files a notice of cessation. So if an owner is having work done and they're arguing with the contractor and they no longer want the contractor to continue the job, then they could file a notice of cessation so that the project is deemed finished as far as that contractor is concerned. Okay, so once again, filing time, 30 days for a subcontractor, 60 days for a general. The reason for this is a general contractor is the contractor that has a contract with the property owner. A subcontractor is a contractor who has a contract with the general contractor. And then 90 days if there's no notice of completion, that's the filing time. And a notice of non-responsibility should be recorded within 10 days, detecting unauthorized labor to protect the owner against a mechanics lien. So if if you're not authorizing a particular contractor to work on your property, then you have to file what's called a notice of non-responsibility so that you can't be held liable for anything that contractor furnishes to the job site or to your property. Okay, property taxes is actually a lien, and special assessments become a lien on real property. So here it's saying any unpaid property taxes, which is generally true, but property taxes in its own nature is a lien on a property. Okay, special assessments. This has become more popular in the last 20-25 years. What happens is instead of developers paying for local improvements, whether it be fire, police, schools, parks, streets, all of those things have to be paid for when there's a master community. So instead of the developer paying all of those things up front, they bundle them into bonds and they create special assessments. So the homeowners of the new tract will pay for those items over a period of 20 to 30 years. So special assessments are levied for the cost of specific local improvements, again, fire, police, schools, parks, and roads, while property tax goes to the general fund. So property tax goes to the county, but these special assessments are levied and they pay the bonds back that the developer initially took in order to build all of those things that are required to do a community. Okay, judgments. Abstracted judgment creates a lien on all non-exempt property. The small claims court, there's a $6 filing fee, no legal representation allowed, and maximum judgment of $10,000. So when you receive a judgment against a person, then that general lien is filed against all property that that person might owe. Okay, so judgment liens terminated by satisfaction of the judgment. So when the amount is paid, it's satisfied. And then obviously compensation by the payment of money or return of property will satisfy a judgment. Okay, a lis pendens is a recording of a notice with the county recorder's office warning all persons that a certain type of lawsuit is pending concerning a particular property. What the lis pendens does is it prevents the owner from disposing of the property, whether it be by sale or gift or however the property owner is trying to get rid of that property, so that the lawsuit or whatever's going on with that property can be completed, and if there's any damages, the person that's awarded damages can use proceeds from that property to satisfy the award. Okay, sheriff's sale, writ of execution is the court order to satisfy judgment, and sheriff's sale is a forced sale of a debtor's property to satisfy judgment under a writ of execution. So this is the end of the foreclosure process when the sheriffs will force the sale of a property. And then the term injunction just means to stop. So whatever's going on with the property, injunction stops whatever is going on with that property, whether it be construction, contract, a sale, or so what that does is that gives the parties time to solve the problem, whatever's going on. Okay, easement is the right to use another person's land for a limited purpose. So there's some easements that are pertinent, which means they run with the land. You can look at your example in the book so you can understand. So if property A and B, if property owner A can't get to their property without using property owner B's property, then you have a driveway easement. The dominant is the one that the owner that benefits, and the servient is the one that has to give up the right of their property. Easement in gross. An example of this one is a telephone company can erect telephone poles on the land. Electric companies always have easements. So any services or utility companies, they have easements in gross so they can enter your property so that they can provide the service that the owners want. Okay, there's a few different ways to create easements. In writing, implied, which means the easement has to exist for some reason, and then prescription. Okay, easements that are pertinent are automatically transferred. The ones that are in gross, only by agreement. So there's ways to terminate easements. Express generally means in writing. So a quit claim deed just means you have no rights to the property. So you're giving up any rights you would have, including an easement. Merger of dominant and servant tenements. That means that the dominant may have purchased the servient property, so now they're all in one, so you wouldn't consider it an easement anymore. Excessive use, abandonment, and destruction of the servient tenement. So one example of that would be eminent domain. So if the government takes a property, then the easement is no longer valid. Okay, there are building restrictions. Covenant is a promise to do or not do a certain thing. A condition is a future event that must happen. There are government and public restrictions on usually made up by cities and counties, like for zoning. So you can only build residential in certain areas, commercial in certain areas, and things of that. And just know that there's no such thing as a race restriction in California. It's illegal. Encroachment is when you enter into another person's property without permission. Okay, and real quick, homesteading. So homesteading will protect you against taxes. So it allows homeowners to protect their homes from forced sale to satisfy debts. So if you homestead your house, it's the property that you occupy, it's your personal residence. You cannot be forced to sell your personal residence in order to satisfy debts. Okay, and these are the amounts it protects: 75,000 for individuals, 100,000 for couples, 175,000 for 65 and over. Now, it doesn't protect against foreclosures, so you can't say, well, you know, I homesteaded, so I'm not going to pay my mortgage. No, you still have to pay your mortgage. Mechanics liens or liens prior to the filing. And then valid homestead must have all of these items. And then this is what one looks like. Now, there are ways to terminate the homestead: sale of the property, declaration of abandonment, or removal or destruction of the dwelling. That does not end the homestead. Okay, so that's chapter 3. If you have any questions, please reach out and I'll be sure to answer them as well as I can. Thank you. Have a nice day.